With the birth of Metal Raiders and the July 2002 list, Critter format was formed. Being named after the Japanese name of prominent monster card Sangan, this era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Shaped up to be quite different from before. Now you had to consider the back row thanks to powerful traps like Solemn Judgment and strong traps in general like Mirror Force. Even removing monsters became questionable when you have monsters like Sangan and Witch of the Black Forest that could get you other monsters upon their removal. Witch gets destroyed by battle? Search for a Dark Elf or a strong beater. Don't worry about flip effects, a Dark Hole destroying one of these cards was instant advantage for you. You even had Cannon Soldier, which could make burn decks a viable deck, and more deck variety for that matter due to the highly increased card pool. Effects and traps weren't the only name in the game now, since Heavy Storm could clear out all back row cards on the field, which beforehand was impossible to do with the previous format's repertoire. In summary, you had a set that introduced negation, searchers, and combo OTKs. As such, many of the top decks include Mass Control, Beatdown, Cannon Burn, Goblin Hat, and even Exodia. This is not even mentioning other fun, playable decks like Mass Negate, Clown Control, and Turtle OTK. And there's plenty of other variety, trust me. The approach to gameplay was drastically different than before, and the variety made the format anything but streamlined. So what was Critter format like in the OCG? Well, it's important to note that Metal Raiders in the OCG was simply a reprint set. Sangan and his Critter crew were released throughout Series 1 sets like Volume 4, 5, and 6. Volume 6 from November 1999 in particular was the set to introduce Counter Trap to the game with the same card lineup. But as far as the OCG meta goes, when Volume 6 dropped, Counter Traps weren't played as much since duelists saw the card pool as single-use cards instead of game enders like today's meta, and as such, Counter Traps weren't seen as necessary. But duelists were soon to realize the use of powerful traps, whether just by playing them or just in hindsight. Also released were Witch and Sangan, and their original effects had them able to search should they be sent from the grave from anywhere, including the hand or deck. This meant existing cards like Graceful Charity and Morphing Jar would be even stronger than before. Yeah, that's scary. So you could really build your hand with strong monsters like Summon Skull, Gemini Elf, and yes, even Exodia pieces. I should also note that Crush Card Virus also existed by this point too, which worked with Sangan for even more versatility upon release. Mask of Darkness from Volume 4 would gain power because of this as well. Since there were no limited lists during this time, using tactics to mass dump searchers to Exodia pieces created a very scary, very fast deck. The top deck beforehand was just good stuff, which meant you could easily crash these lower powered searchers for more aggressive searching potential. TCG's Critter format was drastically different than what was introduced in the OCG. Whereas the TCG had a multitude of new decks and strategies, the OCG and their existing powerful card pool, rulings, and otherwise, morphed the meta into an Exodia-dominated environment. In that regard, the two regions couldn't be any different. However, both show just what the introduction of even just the searchers does to change the meta indefinitely. OCG proved that without limits to effects or a limited list, a degenerate deck can dominate the scene. The TCG proved that there are more intricate ways to think and play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! If one thing's for sure, it's that the Critter crew forever changed Yu-Gi-Oh! As the world knew it.